Hi, everybody. This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on December the 18th in the year of our Lord 2025. And I got a lot of great information for you, so let's go ahead and get this started. Let me click over here, Murtech on Rumble. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going to be talking about tonight, episode 1780, my live stream. Let's go ahead and jump into that. Close out the live chat here and pause that. Let me slide down here and hit the show more button to expand out the description box. And we have information from Benny Johnson, Devory Darkins, Doug in Exile, and Wendy Bell Radio. Nice, good variety and great information. But I do want to give some shout outs here to John J. Townsville. Just started following my channel. And Vida Ren just started following my channel. DRT5 just started following my channel. I Must Be You 09 just started following my channel. And DJ1952 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right. Fisher's C45 commented on my daily news wrap up from last night. Debbie BS reposted my episode 1779. Tiff 7799 and Oki1356 commented on my episode 1779. And Deb Rant commented on my extra 564A. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. So let me go ahead and give this a thumbs up. There we go. Very nice. And by the way, I do have one of those thumbs up icons right underneath the video that you're watching right now. So if you want to scroll down and give me a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate that. Okay, let's get into this. Benny Johnson, a block election results. Okay, let's see what that's all about.
Expect. Here are the results yesterday for Matt Van Epps, who is a Army veteran, West Point graduate, somebody who has been a Tennessee commissioner. He's served in public office. He's from Tennessee. He loves that state. He is a, born and bred, as they would say in the South. But something crazy happened in this Tennessee district. You can see right here. While every single county went dark red across the district, Nashville went 80% for the leftist Democrat, somebody named Atif Ben, who was campaigning against Nashville, which is crazy. What she said specifically in her campaign race is that she hated Nashville, she hated bars, she hated country music, she hates bachelorette parties, that she hates the entire culture of Nashville. Yet Nashville votes for her by 80%. What the hell is that exactly? I want to diagnose this, ladies and gentlemen, just sort of off the top of the show, because it's something that we're seeing all across the country when it comes to leftists and the candidates.
Okay, I got to jump in. I cannot believe that this is happening. I cannot believe that Democrats would vote for a person, even though they were on the Democrat ticket, that said they hated the place that they were going to represent. And they hated country music. And she said that. There's got to be some voting irregularities here in this area. This can't be true. People, even though they are Democrats, cannot be that ignorant. I'm sorry. Something's not right here. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest.
They run. They're running insurgency candidates against the native populations and against the places that they wish to lead. Whether it's New York or Chicago, Baltimore, Nashville, Detroit, the left runs candidates that hates these cities, that hates the places where they are trying to represent. What is that exactly? Well, it's the end stages of a political ideology that is about destruction. whether it's the destruction of human life or whether it is the destruction of your way of life, whether it is the destruction of this nation as it is founded. It is self-loathing at its core. It is built on a sort of godlessness and a hatred, and it's ugly. It wishes to see the demographic, political, social, and religious change of places just for change's sake without asking whether that's good for the people or the population. It masks itself in care when really what it is about is destruction. But leftists are eating it up like candy. And you have to ask the question, why? And we've been able to, I think, diagnose this correctly, which is, well, leftism has always been, but has accelerated their capacity for self-loathing. In the pursuit of power, there is nothing they won't vote for. In the pursuit of power, they will vote for a Ugandan communist to be in charge of the center of capital in all of America. What the hell is that? Again, it's just plain as, oh, that's a shame. Okay, that's good. Sean Davis can't join us today. He's my Nashville buddy. Tomorrow, he will be on here to diagnose this. We have a stacked show. What is that exactly? Well, we track it back to the left refusing to believe in God. The left believes in God at a rate of approximately 50%. Republicans believe in God 93%. There's your difference in the party. There's your difference in this map. Keep the map up. There's your difference in the map. This is your difference in how this vote. I bet you'd be able to track that right here. This is why belief in God is so critical and essential to our national ethos and to who we are as a people, because it is one of those things, especially when our nation gets flooded with 150 newcomers, criminal and legal, aliens from all over the world, from all different backgrounds, in a what has to be simply a plot to atomize our nation, to rip the things that used to connect us together. One of the last final bonds that we have is that we believe in God together, that we believe that the government isn't God, that God is God. And what comes with that belief? If you can just say that, whatever denomination of Christianity you come from, you know, even if you're just like spiritual, right? I think that Elon Musk believes in God. I think that people like Jared Isaacman, our NASA, who was our NASA administrator nominee, who's in his hearing today, he said so on stage that he believes in God, that he's spiritual. If you can at least say that, then you know that you're not God. And that's like the first great step. And what comes with that? What comes with that is that you believe that God created you and that you were created for a purpose. And that purpose is going to drive the motivations in your life, like God's first command to all of us, which is to go be fruitful and multiply. But you're seeing population collapse and to critical levels in the West as we like move away from Christendom, as we move away from God. You can see population collapse goes hand in hand with populations that stop believing in God, stop believing in the motivation to continue to have children, to continue to create families, and to say that like my life actually means something. If you live like that, then you're going to live extremely depressed. You're going to think that maybe you were born in the wrong body, you were born in the wrong gender, that God hates you, that God doesn't exist at all, that he didn't make man and woman. And you're going to have a worldview that is far more about like tearing down than it is about building up and creating. And so when I look at results like this, like how could Nashville vote for somebody who so obviously hates Nashville? And by the way, you don't have to take my word for it. Let's just go ahead and listen to her talk about it. Here's her in her own words. This was the Democrat candidate to represent Nashville. Go.
I've been heavily involved with the Nashville mayoral race because I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville apparently an it city to the rest of the country, but I hate it. Yeah, I'm that girl at the airport that all these bachelorettes are giddy walking out in their two-toned colored Pantone pink shirts, and they walk out and I'm like, they're like, oh my God, Nashville is so bad.
They're so loud.
You're Democrats in Nashville by 80% voted 80% of Nashville voted for Afton Ben, the lady that said she hates Nashville. If there was even remotely a chance for her to win, it would have been to flood Nashville. Here, let's go ahead and zoom in, please, on Nashville. Is it 77%? Zoom in on those results. Yeah, okay. So 77% of Nashville voted for somebody who hates it. What does that mean exactly? Well, again, if you go through Nashville today, you'll find that it's not really the southern town that you might have thought it was or remembered it to be. It's certainly not the Johnny Cash, style of country music, southern recording town any longer. It is every bit of a liberal city. All of the biscuit shops have been replaced with bagel shops. All of the country music swagger has been replaced with metropolitan liberalism. And the Hollywood of the South has again decided to vote for somebody who hates what made Nashville, Nashville. And you're going to just kind of extrapolate this on a much larger plane. Throughout the country, this is happening. The left is deciding to vote in order to destroy the places that they control, to change them forever. As Barack Obama famously said, and we really should have taken him at his word. This is about a fundamental transformation of what America is. Now, they promised to do this at scale, and I am really happy about what happened last night. My takeaway on this, don't listen to the doomers. Don't listen to the people screaming the sky is falling here. This district voted 22% for Trump in the election, and people are saying, oh, they only voted 10%. And they cut it in half or more. This only, you had a 65% return on the polls in the 2024 election, because it was a national election. There's an extreme amount of hype around it. And this was a special election, got around 20% of the district to show up, and probably hyper accelerated by voter drives in Nashville, where people are far more condensed and their voter blocks are far more distilled into buildings and units and Section 8 housing. And this is how Democrats are able to churn out votes, and Democrats are able to win on a national scale. I'm not sure that they'll ever be able to win again, frankly, on a national scale once we get the 2030 census. Be fully in favor of redoing the 2020 census because that was rigged. But as you can see, and as is demonstrated on the map behind me, all of America is effectively just a red country with teeny little blue dots. And it is inside of those cities that Democrats try and manipulate the votes, to carve out votes, and to run these garbage candidates like they ran last night. The country is with us. I think this is a very solid result. Again, it's not even a midterm election. It's just I think it's the district voting entirely aligned with what the Cook Political Report would show if you had simply a 20% turnout, which is what they had last night for the district. You can see here, neither candidate even got 100,000 votes. So the winner, Matt Van Epps, got 96,000 votes total. And the loser, Afton Ben, got 81. So she loses by 9 points. And we walk away saying, no, I think things are just fine here. So don't believe all the sky is falling, freaking out. This is a great win for the president. This just sort of shows that the country, I think, is solidly positioned for a year of wins if the president's administration is locking in, which I know that they are, and getting very, very serious about domestic policy moving forward. I can say this as members of the base and as people who speak to the base every single day. I am just really tired of the foreign focus. I know that it is really dripping with, let me say this in a what will be a smartly structured sentence. I know it's tempting because we have military bases in every country, and because there's wars all over the world, and because, frankly, it is a tough landscape that America's been drawn into by idiot leadership.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there and move on. He's pretty much going to be talking about the same thing, but that it's a good thing in that in this off whatever election here that Republican won, but man, 77% of the votes in Memphis went to someone that hates Memphis. Nashville. All right, let me click on the Rumble link here and show you this video does come from Benny Johnson. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and check out what's next with Devory Darkins. Ilhan Omar dealt major blow after CNN host catches her in a lie. Oh, amazing. Okay, let's see what this is all about.
So, obviously, according to Homeland Security, they say that Ilhan Omar is doing this because of a PR stunt to, persuade public opinion and make people believe that, ICE is just out there winging it and pulling people over because the color of their skin. That's what Democrats would hope that the court system would rule in their favor over, even though the Supreme Court already struck that down. But that doesn't stop someone like her from pushing these lies. So she gets caught up in that. Also, Fani Willis is in court today, she's at a hearing at the state level in Georgia where lawmakers are grilling her over not only her role with Nathan Wade, her lover, but how her case against the president went up in flames. Now, we know what really happened here. And I say it all the time. If I was a prosecutor, I don't know if you could pay me anything to go after a president. I don't care how corrupt the president is. It just doesn't pass common sense. I mean, it takes a certain type of person who's going to wake up in the morning and go after a former president. That's not your everyday Joe, okay? You have to understand if you're going to go down that road, it's not going to end well. Even if you get a conviction, it won't end well for you. So, I'm not shocked what happened with her. And we talk about this all the time. It's just interesting how many cases her office actually presided over that went up in flames. I mean, another case, just briefly here, has nothing to do with politics, more culture stuff. Young Thug, the rapper, who was being prosecuted on a RICO case, that case got thrown out. And that was in her office. The point is, she was appointed as a district attorney and hasn't really accomplished much. Okay. Her claim to fame was trying to, get the president on these election charges, and it went nowhere. And that also was a RICO case. Okay. So anyways, those are the two stories that we'll get into. If you guys are new here, this is all about common sense commentary for these uncommon times. We like to focus on the stories that are shaping everyday America, of course. And we're out here in Phoenix right now, so that's why you don't see me in the studio. We'll be at AmFest. So if you guys are there, please come say hi, and I'd like to meet you. Okay, let's start with this first clip. Now, this is Wolf Blitzer because he's the one doing the interview. And he kind of gives this summary of this ICE crackdown in Minnesota in the Somalia community, which I don't have a problem with because, again, when the leaders of your community is, caught up in fraud or took money from the fraudsters themselves or has gone to plenty dinner parties and taken photos with these same fraudsters who have been indicted, by the way, and convicted. I don't have any sympathy. Okay. So it's to be expected. Let's hear this, and then you'll get to hear her little sob story in the beginning.
Now, President Trump's Customs and Border Patrol Chief, Gregory Bovino, is now back in Chicago for what are being described as immigration enforcement operations. Chicago is certainly not the only city grappling with the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Our next guest, Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minnesota, says ICE is, quote, in her words, terrorizing immigrant communities in her district. The president has labeled Ilhan Omar and Somali Americans, many of them in the Minneapolis area, as, quote, garbage, his word, garbage. The Congresswoman joins us now here in the Situation Room. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. What's it like on the ground right now? Not just for you, but your fellow Somali Americans. And I've known many of them over the years. They're very hardworking, very decent people. And to hear the President of the United States call them garbage.
Many in Minneapolis and certainly in Minnesota are experiencing a state-sanctioned violence. We're seeing people being stopped, dragged out of their cars, people detained for hours, many who are citizens. And it is really terrifying. But what we are also seeing is people showing just how resilient and united Minnesotans are in defending their neighbors, documenting the actions, the unlawful actions that we're seeing from ICE agents, and we're seeing them come together.
So are we documenting the unlawful actions of people who entered the country illegally in your community, which is a question I'd have for her? And are you documenting the unlawful actions that you yourself took and some of the allegations like marrying your brother, for an example, to gain citizenship, which that has now come to the forefront, and now she's being investigated for that. And of course, it's all a distraction at the end of the day, to be fair, because none of this is going to lead to votes in the midterms. None of this is going to lead to, more money in the pocket of everyday Americans and them being able to find relief at the dinner table over some of these issues. I get it. However, we got to call out the lies and the hypocrisy when we see it. And that's exactly what's on full display. So this takes us to this clip where Wolf Blitzer pretty much catches her in a lie because, according to her, her son was pulled over by ICE, racially profiled, almost arrested. We'll read the article. And I guess in the end, they let him go. Okay. And she goes on to Twitter, of course, and pleads her sob story. And then, Homeland Security had to come out and say, wait a minute, there's no record of us ever doing that. No video footage, no audio tapes, no photos, no eyewitnesses. Why are you making this up? Okay, let's hear her explanation on that now.
I know that the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has become very personal for you, even though you're a member of Congress. You've said that federal immigration agents actually pulled over your son on Saturday and asked him to prove his citizenship. He is, of course, a U.S. citizen, as are you. The Department of Homeland Security says, and I'm quoting them, ICE has absolutely zero record of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son, and have accused you of seeking to, quote, demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt, their words. What do you say to that?
Well, if ICE is saying that they have documentation of every single person that they have pulled over in Minneapolis, we would love to see that record because we've certainly, myself and the governor, have been asking them to share information with us on the ways in which they have interacted with Minnesotans, and they have not been able to provide a single information. So it is amazing that they're able to put out this statement saying definitely that they did not pull my son over when they haven't been able to answer anything else. And ICE has been known to lie when it comes to their enforcement.
Okay, well, we know you've been known to lie as well, according to your personal affairs.
Yes.
But let's just say this. Let's just stick to the merits. I'm not going to attack her character, okay? Wouldn't her son record this interaction? Wouldn't he have had gotten a photo at least? I mean, if you think about it, if he really got pulled over and he was racially profiled, you think he would have documented it just to protect him and his mother's image, right? And her word. That's what I would instruct my children to do if they were in this particular situation, I guess. I don't know. I just don't buy it. And let's just say for the sake of this whole thing, it actually happened. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Because they're not stopping people based on the color of their skin. That's already been ruled by the Supreme Court. They're looking at, obviously, intelligence. They're looking at location. They have other multitude of factors where they may already have intelligence that says that some people are associated with an actual illegal alien. And so, it doesn't take much for them to pull someone over, and they may be right or they may be wrong in figuring out if they're a citizen or not. The point of the matter is, even if we go with what she's saying, no law was broken in the process. And this is the disagreement with this entire situation. One side believes if you detain an American citizen, their rights are being violated. The other side, which is the side of common sense and, people who actually have law enforcement experience and, things of that nature, no law is being broken if you detain an American citizen. Everybody knows that. Okay, you could detain an American citizen up to 72 hours. Now, that's why they've already gone to this whole thing of getting some American citizens who have been detained in the process to tell their story on Capitol Hill. We had that happen last week, in fact, but it leads to nowhere. But their objective is to use these stories to persuade public opinion. The problem is that mainstream media obviously emboldens these people to lie because they don't tell the truth about what's really happening. What is really happening? What's really happening is for decades now, the Somalia community continues to import people who are not their best and brightest. That might sound a little extreme. I don't think Somalia people are any less than me, less intelligent, anything of that nature. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at the results, and I'll prove it to you. Why is it that 80% of the Somalia community is on welfare? That's more than black people.
Okay, I'm going to pause this. I think you got the point there. He's going to go on to another story here, but I want to move on and give you some other information. I'm at the 12-minute mark in this 44-minute video, so the link to this is in the description box below if you'd like to see more Devory Darkins. He always has great stuff, and that's why I share his information. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Devory Darkins. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alrighty then. Let's jump back here and see what Doug in Exile has to say. Caught on camera, Fani Willis loses it. Oh my goodness. Let's check this out.
Here's Fani Willis losing it in court.
The date that I have is January 24th of 2022. Does that seem like it's within the range of being the correct date?
So I already stated I don't trust you. I understand you're trying to run for lieutenant governor right now. Anything you want me to testify to, I'm going to need to see.
Were you aware that in between the time of the special grand jury being sworn in and receiving evidence, Mr. Wade traveled to Athens, Georgia to meet with officials from the White House counsel's office?
I don't recall.
Wait, you don't recall if Nathan Wade flew to the White House? Isn't that kind of news in Fulton County, Georgia, that Nathan Wade? You don't recall. That's a lie. You can recall. You just won't answer. So you say, I don't recall.
On the right-hand side here is the meeting that I reference. The highlighted section reads, travel to Athens, conf with White House.
How does this assist you in developing laws for Georgia? Because I believe the purpose that I'm here for is because you all need assistance in doing your job, and you want assistance with rules and regulations around how people should be a prosecutor. And it made sense to me that you'd come to the best prosecutor in the state to ask for some advice. But I'm confused as to how this assists you.
She's going to get smacked down so hard. He simply asked her when she said, I don't recall. He brought up the flight logs on how she put that flight from Georgia to Washington, D.C. for Nathan Wade and says, what's this? And she goes, I'm not going to do your job for you. This ain't going to fly with a judge, guys.
What the purpose of me being here is.
The committee has a broad purpose. I'd be happy to refer to counsel as to the overall purpose of the committee. But my question for you is, as it relates
I don't think it's relevant, so I'm objecting on relevance.
It's not relevant. On a fashion statement, I like Fani Willis's white suit here way better than her old red, huge tomato number.
And it's your testimony today that the travel to Athens, conference with the White House counsel, as far as you were aware, was due to a part of this TUI process that the governor's referencing.
I've testified. I don't recall anything about this.
I don't recall anything. I know nothing.
And I don't see how it's relevant to what your alleged purpose is. Now, your real purpose is to try to get elected. Which I would say, Georgia, please, let's elect any lieutenant governor but this one.
Hold on. Georgia, we got to elect this exact lieutenant governor. We got to work for this guy. She's trying. This is the lieutenant governor she doesn't want because she wants to keep her grift. But wait, there's more. Watch. Fani Willis just crashed out. Pulled the race card. Well, barely.
I don't review those documents, so you're asking me to look at documents that I haven't for the first time. What I can tell you is that I allowed Mr. Wade to bill 160 hours a week, and then Mr. Wade would be the first one in the office making sure that my staff arrived. He corrected their behavior. They thought that 8:30 meant 8:30. He told them that 8:30 means 7:45. He got there before them. He left.
He was at the office before 7:35 because you guys stayed the night. He was pulling an all-nighter.
After him, he taught them how to do this case, and he was a leader to that team and a public servant. And for that, him, like me, has been threatened thousands of times. You want something to investigate as a legislature? Investigate how many times they've called me the N-word. Why don't you investigate that? Why don't you investigate them writing on my house? Why don't you investigate the fact that my house has been swatted? If you want something to do with your time that makes sense, and you can use all this in your campaign ad, you attacked Fonnie Willis. What have you done, sir? Nothing.
I'm going to refer you to the screen.
Outrage. We don't approve of calling her the N-word. We don't approve of writing the N-word on her house or swatting her house or giving her death threats. I have gotten death threats. I've had my character impugned by other people, so I don't want to normalize it. I hear her on that. Look at this. We're going to get back to more Fonnie Willis clips, but first, U.S. House passed a GOP health care bill. So remember, the Democrats wanted their health care bill to extend the Affordable Care Act, but the GOP health care bill passed 213 to 209. Democrats didn't want it. Only one Republican didn't want it. I have to look for that name. Allowing people to buy insurance in groups to lower premiums without extending Affordable Care Act subsidies favored by Democrats for major insurers. So that's good. We're going to put a slight stopgap in that problem. Democrats were no help. The Republicans were united. What's wrong with that, everybody? Okay, now I've told you guys, this is the last day that Chapter is going to be our sponsor. I'm going to pick them back up again with a new campaign next year. But I wanted you all to write this phone number down if you have Medicare questions. Super important, especially if you're going to turn.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get past this. The link to this video is in the description box if you want to see that commercial.
Smith is going in for questioning today. Here's the Jack Smith lawyer who's lying.
In today testifying before this committee, Jack is showing tremendous courage in light of the remarkable and unprecedented retribution campaign against him.
Retribution against his retribution.
This administration and this White House. Let's be clear.
Well, anytime a Democrat says, let's be clear, it's going to be opaque.
Jack Smith, a career prosecutor, conducted this investigation based on the facts and based on the law and nothing more.
Strange that you would say that. Whatever you guys say, all I'm going to say is this. Based on the facts, based on the law, and nothing more, we swear. Guilty. Funny that you should word it that way, because you know something. Here's John Kennedy on the same. Jack Smith going in for questioning.
To hear from Mr. Smith is the truth. I suspect it's highly unlikely that he's interested in an outcome punishing someone he doesn't like. And I think he's going to be held accountable.
So we will see shortly how much they get out of this one. Search for answers on the Hill a short time from now. Former special counsel Jack Smith set to go behind closed doors and face House lawmakers about his investigations into Donald Trump, and we'll see how he answers that.
Did you catch it before this, what Kennedy said? John Kennedy said he's going to be held to account. He's going to face the law. If he's held accountable, according to John Kennedy, he's busted. And now the final flip out on Fonnie Willis comes apart at the seams as she accuses Georgia State Committee of trying to intimidate her. This is the most unglued she gets.
You all want to intimidate people from doing the right thing, and you think that you're going to intimidate me. You all have been trying to intimidate me for 5 years, which is why I have not been able to live in my house for 5 years.
Hold on one second. Did you try to intimidate Sidney Powell by slapping a RICO charge on her and Jenna Ellis? Isn't that intimidation? That's way worse than anyone's intimidated Fonnie Willis. She put RICO charges on 18 people, hoping they'd flip and rat each other out. That's intimidation. It may be legal, but it is intimidating. And she intimidated at least 18 people. So I think you have some intimidation coming back at you, Fonnie Willis.
Because the N-word has been written on my house. Thousands of threats have come to my office. And instead of doing some legislation, when someone says something inflammatory that you know is going to cause them to be the victims of crime, you ought to do something about it. But you see, I'm not Marjorie Taylor Greene. I ain't gonna quit in a...
You mean like calling the president Hitler? Calling the president of the United States, Donald Trump, a Nazi? Calling him a king? Calling him an anarchist? Is that what you're talking about here? Is that what you're referring to?
Oh, she goes after Margie Taylor Greene for quitting. I'm not MTG. I'm not going to quit in a month.
Because somebody threatened me. I took an oath to do the right thing. People came into my community and committed a crime, and I indicted them. And rest assured, if someone else comes in my community and commits a crime, I will indict them.
Okay, she's doubling on I will indict them too. Well, now you're all caught up on the drama with Fani Willis. I'll let you know if there's charges. And just so you know, Jack Smith also getting nailed, and the Republicans past our own ability to gather up health care. Don't forget to call that number. Write that number down for chapter. If you
Okay, there we have it. Let me show you here that this video does come from Doug in Exile. I am subscribed to his channel, giving him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and slide on down and see what Wendy Bell has to say. Wendy Bell Radio, The Heat is On. That sounds like a good song title. But at any rate, let's see what she has to say.
You think you can do that? And if you do that, you might be able to bring your abuela, your tia.
Let me back it up here just a little bit. I think we're...
Such a good point.
There we go.
Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. So if we're all agreed that the overarching strategy of the Biden auto pen presidency was to import as many millions of new Democrat voters from all around the world as quickly as possible, to set them up with the perks so that they could stay here, right? We're going to give you food. We're going to give you EBT cards. We're going to give you housing. We're going to give you employment. All you've got to do, it's so simple. All you have to do is vote the way we want you to vote. That's it. You think you can do that? And if you do that, you might be able to bring your abuela, your tia, your hija, all of these people in your family. Well, what the hell? Bring them over to Kumbaya. It'll be one giant familia. Well, when Donald Trump ran for re-election and they tried to kill him, they knew damn well what he was going to do. Day number one, shut down the border, 96% closed. 96%. However you quantify that, that's how it's been quantified. The left wants you to believe that people who don't want immigration willy-nilly from all over the world, you're bad people. You just don't care. What about these people suffering? They're fleeing persecution. Have you no heart? No, I'm just America first, and you're screwing us over. We're paying for it, and these people are not assimilating, and they make our streets dangerous. Well, that's very racist. I don't care. I don't care. Call me a racist. I've been called worse. Bring it. Well, apparently I'm not alone in the thought here, because a new poll, and this is not the Quinnipiac, I believe, plurality want less or zero legal migration. Wait, say what? You mean to tell me that people don't even want folks from like the UK or Sweden or Norway or Canada? Yeah. They're saying close it up. Shut it down. Let America heal. Find the people, get them out, get the jobs back into the hands of the American people, and allow us to recover from the worst 4-year alcoholic binge that anybody has ever been through. We're on the receiving end of the hangover. Let's read this together, shall we? 2/3 of Republicans want legalized migration to be decreased or ended, says a new poll by YouGov. 2/3. In contrast, just 17% of Democrats want legalized migration to be cut back, says the poll of 1,632 citizens, which was conducted December 11th through the 15th. Now, let me ask you, why would Democrats be resistant to shutting down all migration to this country? You are a product of the news you dare to consume. Sort of like your belly is a product of the food you put in your mouth. You get the governance you allow people to steal for and cheat for. And 17% of Democrats seem to at least realize that even legal migration causes major economic ripples and safety issues in this country. But 37% of Democratic voters want more legal migration, as do 6% of GOP voters. Really? Amid the partisan polarization, there is a 2-to-1 plurality for less migration versus more of it. We've tapped out. There's no more room at the inn. Why do you think we can't find affordable housing for people? Well, you don't just ship in millions of people every year and put them places and think that's not going to leave an effect, right? Amid the partisan polarization, 25% said the number should not be changed, even though establishment outlets rarely describe the actual inflow of legalized migrants each year. Under Joe Biden, the inflow of all migrants was roughly level with the number of births. Sort of feels great replacement-y, doesn't it? Oh, come on, Wendy. That's such a conspiracy theory. Nobody's trying to replace anybody with anybody. Really? Did you ever hear your elected representatives, Democrats, work hard for you, to get a job for you, to have affordable groceries for you, to live where you want for you, to have a savings? They don't talk about you. They obsess over Donald Trump because they realize he's the one whose finger is on the plug of the swamp, and he's draining it. So the 26% who favor decreased migration, well, that's the plurality score in the YouGov poll, partly because an unusually large 19% of respondents declined to reveal their preference. I don't want anybody to think I'm racist. Who's going to be saying this? I don't trust any poll. None. And I'm going to set that up before we even dig into this monster Quinnipiac poll. They do this every quarter or so. How do you feel about the president? How do you feel about the... It is the granular detail that tells you everything. And the number one overarching issue, America has a problem with white college-educated liberal chicks. I'm just going to say, across the board, it's not the men who are like, yeah, I want 4 more years of what Joe Biden did to this country. It's the women, and it's the white women, and I simply don't understand. There must be only one conclusion, at least in my mind. Somewhere along the way, they get indoctrinated. They become groomed. They become captive. They become co-opted by the left. College and public education, period. Is it no wonder that the Department of Education blew up under President Trump? Oh my, do we have much to discuss. The president laying out his agenda, laying out his victories, explaining the mess he inherited. It's important, and it's next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay.
If you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want.
Once you've got it, search for my channel and hit follow. That way, you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps.
You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat. Download it to your phone, and you're ready to go.
And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, a lot of people find the president's gushing about his accomplishments. He says, I did that a lot. I tend to use the word we. You know, we is really Brock and myself when I talk about things that I discuss on the show, but it's we, it's you, it's we, right? The president sees it in a different way. And he is the guy who's making the deals. He is the guy who goes to the pharmaceutical companies and says, hey, here's the deal. Either you cut your prices or I'm going to destroy you, essentially. We're going to leave you out of the plans for what's going to happen down the road. Nobody wants to go against him. He is that negotiator. He carves out the insurance companies and he goes right to it. Remember, what did he do? He was talking to Putin and he got on the phone, or he was talking to Zelensky or whatever, and he like broke away and he called Putin. And they're like, Mr. President, it's like a 6-hour time. He's like, call him. Let's go. We need to make progress. Let's make it happen. This is what you get with President Trump. And whether you like or not the way he delivers things, and he has to hit again and again and again. He has an opportunity with a live captive audience, half of which probably hate him because they watch CNN, right? He's like, look, take a step back and look at where we're going. Look at where we've been. Imagine where we are now and consider tomorrow. You really want to go back to where you were? The biggest announcement, I think, was about drugs. It was about the prescriptions. And I want to read this to you before we get into the lion's share of the sound. And the president said, look, I'm doing what no politician has ever done. Trump RX delivering historic price cuts up to 600%. So he described an unprecedented reduction in prescription drug prices. He outlined basically the Trump RX program, the most favored nation drug pricing. It's going to take effect in January. What does that mean? Trump's comments on Trump RX build on a series of agreements announced since late September that use that most favored nation framework and direct-to-consumer sales to tie U.S. drug prices to what is paid for the exact same medications in other countries. Why are we paying 75% of the world's pharmacy bill? We shouldn't. President Trump said no more. Thank you. And that did not take an act of Congress. So let's see what he did. The prices are under this first agreement. You reached with Pfizer. Some Medicaid programs across the states were gaining access to these most favored nation prices. The dermatitis ointment Eucrisa was slated to be offered at 80% off, ladies and gentlemen. Rheumatoid arthritis drug, Xeljanz, 40% off. Migraine medication, Zavzpret, 50% off. And then it goes into the shots for the weight loss that so many people are using and having benefit from. That is a game changer. That is not what you will get on the news tonight. They will not talk to you about that, right? It's all about how he is a threat to democracy. No, he's a threat to the swamp. There's a difference. Whenever you hear threat to democracy, change democracy to swamp, because they're absolutely right. Donald Trump is the singular, most dangerous threat to the deep state. And I love it. Let's get into what he said last night. On affordability, look, this president understands. And I think it's easy to be tone deaf if you're a billionaire and you're not living paycheck to paycheck. But we learned during the Schumer shutdown, the staggering majority of working Americans live that way, paycheck to paycheck. The president said, look, we inherited a mess from the prior administration, but we are making America better. Listen.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again.
100%, and the most recent poll I just talked to you about in the last segment, You've got Democrats saying they want more migration. In what world do you live? This is why it was so pivotal. And one might argue that last night's speech was among the most important of President Trump's career. He went on to say this: look, because of 25 million people invading our shores, we've had problems with safety. And you and I both know, and we're going to get into it, in Washington, D.C. alone, cooking the books, fudging the data, lying about homicides, calling them what? Carjackings? Domestic disturbances? Please. Here's the president on making America safe again.
We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Just take a look at Washington, D.C. It's at levels of safety that we've never seen before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people. And we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean and by sea are now down 94%.
And yet Democrats are balking at the hits at sea. They're worried about the due process rights of narco-terrorists who want to kill us. I mean, think about that. In what world would you put a narco-terrorist, a drug cartel, a drug dealer on the street, or any of them ahead of the sons and daughters of these United States? And why ever would you do that? Because it's all connected. The borders, the drugs, right? The gangs, Tren de Aragua, MS-13, Cartel de los Soles, all of them connected. Trump cutting the head off the snake and blowing it up at sea. The president continued on the economy. Look, he understands that things are expensive. He needs us to understand that the change doesn't happen overnight. It took 4 years for Joe Biden to put us in the poorhouse. It's going to take more than a few months to dig us out.
We're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration, car prices rose 22% and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast.
Democrats want a memory hole the last 4 years, as though if they wave a magic wand or they do a flash like in the Men in Black movies, that you'll all of a sudden forget that the reason why you haven't taken a vacation, the reason you're stressed out about your bills, the reason why you're worried about what age you're actually going to be able to afford to retire is because of what those morons did, whether it be by abject lunacy, because they're stupid, or because they hate America. It's America last. This president says, I hear you. We're fixing it. And it's fixing itself fast. Then he said about jobs. You know, the Biden administration had to lie. They had to go back and review their data. And they had to go back with a big, giant eraser and scrub it out and put in the real data. 818,000 jobs had to be corrected one year because they lied to you. You and I were like, look, I don't know where you're saying all of these jobs are coming from because I can't get a burger at the McDonald's drive-through lane because nobody's showing up to work. What's going on? President addresses it.
First thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
Over 60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans. In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens, 100%.
Paring down the federal bureaucracy. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers don't work for the federal government anymore. What were you doing? Because you weren't showing up. Well, we found it peculiar that the 2.2 federal workers, 2.2 million, somehow had over 4 million credit cards, like debit cards that you and I were paying for. It was like one big drunken frat party. You paid for it, but you weren't invited. And then you were told you had to come in and clean up the mess. I hope Gen Z is paying attention, because all the things that you are feeling are a result not of the president, not of the GOP, but of the Democrats and the auto pen. And the president was just getting warmed up. He's going to talk about bonuses for the military. He talked about the scams run by the Somalis. He's going to talk about what you can expect next year. And that's where Democrats really sphinctered up. What he said and why all of them are out there now fact-checking him. They are scared to death. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go ahead and pause this here. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio.
Credit.
All right. I am following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And I promise you that I will continue with this video. I like Wendy Bell. I've got a lot of comments saying, yeah, we like Wendy Bell. We like you sharing Wendy Bell. So I will continue to do that. I hope I wasn't overdoing it. And I guess I'm not from the comments that I've got. I've never had anyone say, no, I've had enough of Wendy Bell. But yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that this is a good thing, that they like to hear this. And, you know, I'm doing this so that I can get the information. You know, I've had many people say, she says exactly what I'm thinking. You know, she does. She comes right out with it. She pulls no bones. And that's why I like to share it with you, because she has a great presentation. I wish I had a presentation like that. She has a great presentation, and this is something that catches people's attention, and this is the whole reason that I'm doing this, is to maybe have somebody that is, you know, voting for this person in Nashville that hates Nashville, look at this and say, she's got a point there. Maybe I need to rethink what the hell I'm doing voting for a Democrat every time. That's my hopes. That's what I hope for, is to share this out and maybe change a few people's minds. Okay, now that I've got that off my chest, let's jump back here. I've just copied the live chat into a comment so that it will be permanent with this video, because once the live stream is over, the live chat just kind of vaporizes into cyberspace, hyperspace, something. I don't know. But I do need to remind you that these videos that I did share with you this evening are videos that do come directly from the producer's channel. Okay, I don't get any commissions or royalties for sharing this information. I'm doing it to share the information out to people, to let them know what information is out there so they don't have to rely on the lying legacy mainstream media and deep state swamp and Democrats and rhinos, so they can actually get the truth. I've given you a good variety here of the truth, pointing out how the Democrats have been lying to us, continue to lie to us. And these videos that I shared with you are videos that I've posted on Murtech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos. Now, I am going to have my daily news wrap-up coming up here, about 9:30. And the information I got into it tonight, I guess Dan Bongino is stepping down from the FBI. And there's some comments here. This is just a short 2-minute video from the New York Post, actually, on Dan Bongino stepping down, comments from Donald Trump. Then we're going to get in and wrap up the Wendy Bell radio. Then I've got some other information here. Got about 8 or 9 hours of information right here in my daily news wrap-up of good stuff that no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. That's what we deal in here, folks. So with that being said, go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee or donut. Grab a sandwich or a soft drink and a beer. And meet me back here about 9:30. And we'll start the daily news wrap-up so I can maybe readjust my playlist a little bit and get my Rumble Studio set up. But for right now, I do want to thank you for spending your time with me. I greatly appreciate that. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.